crash and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I am looking to discuss, I think it came out in 65, and this is Kurt Vonnegut's 1965 novel, God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. Now, I don't even know where to begin with this book. This book was really funny. This technically what the book is about, is that it's about a dude by the name of Elliot Rosewater. He is heir to the Rosewater fortune, which is the 14th largest fortune in American history. It takes place in like the mid-50s, and the Rosewater Foundation is worth approximately $87 million in change. Now, if somebody gave me $87 million right now in 2024, I would be incredibly happy. So you can only imagine what it was like if somebody gave you $87 million back in the 50s. So like I said, it's the 14th largest fortune in American history. Except the thing is, Elliot Rosewater, he doesn't exactly line up with what his father, Senator Rosewater, wanted for him. Elliot kind of goes off on this heavy love trip, and he loves everybody, and he just disappears intermittently. He'll just vanish, and he'll call up his wife, Sylvia, from like wherever he may be, and she'll be like, where are you? How are you? And he's like, oh, it's great here. I'm hanging out with all these volunteer firefighters, and I'm helping the volunteer firefighters, because Elliot has a thing for helping and admiring volunteer firefighters. And of course, we have no idea why this is. The first handful of chapters, specifically right up until chapter 5, this book is kind of light. It's funny. It's discussing how there's a lawyer by the name of Norman Mushari who wants to funnel away the Rosewater fortune from Elliot, who he doesn't really like. He finds one of Elliot's distant relatives, a dude by the name of Fred Rosewater, whose wife, Carolyn, is hanging out with her really rich friend, and she's not rich. And Fred, he wants to kill himself. He's an insurance salesman who is chronically depressed. He's always thinking about creative ways to kill himself. The fuck was that? Anyways, yeah, he's always thinking about creative ways to kill himself. And Norman Mushari, he's working for the law firm that represent the Rosewaters. And so he tracks down Fred, and he tells Fred, dude, this is your birthright. You're sitting on millions of dollars that you don't even know about. We got to get you in there. And so Mushari leaves the firm that represents the Rosewaters, and he goes into business for himself because he's attempting to become the lead lawyer for Fred Rosewater's attempt to take over the Rosewater Foundation's fortune. And so right up until, like I said, till about chapter 5, the book has like a sense of levity. But then you hit chapter 5 and things take a decidedly more serious turn. For example, we find out why Elliot is so obsessed with volunteer firefighters. And the reason for that is when he was fighting in World War II, he was over in Germany, wherever, and there was a building on fire, and they were told to go in and clear it for any Nazis, to check for any Nazis who were in there. And so when he entered the building, he saw 3 Nazis, he took them out, and bayoneted the fuck out of them, only to discover afterwards that they were 3 volunteer firefighters who were in there trying to put the blaze out on their own in the building that him and his men were sent in to check for Nazis. And he killed 2 old men and apparently like 1 younger teenager. And this traumatizes Elliot to the point where, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't talk for a few days after it happens. And that's why he is so enamored with the idea of volunteer firefighters. Like, he's always hanging out with them. He's trading articles of clothing. He's giving them money. And so he ends up in Rosewater County. It's like his town. And all the while he's there, of course, he's MIA for his family. His wife, Sylvia, unfortunately, she's on her 3rd personality at this point. Her and his father are arguing endlessly about how his father feels Elliot's a giant disappointment. And she, of course, supports Elliot because she thinks what he's doing as he's helping everybody the way that he does through the Rosewater Foundation. She thinks it's great. And his father's so sick of the word love. He hates the word love because of what Elliot's done to it for him. Because Elliot loves everybody, and this drives his father crazy. Because Elliot's father, along with Elliot's wife, Sylvia, they believe that they're superior to regular people like you and me because they're wealthy. And so he's at the Rosewater Foundation in Rosewater County. He's calling up all the people that live there. People are calling him for help. They hear that he helps. He provides social assistance, monetary assistance, emotional assistance. And I mean, this one woman calls up. Her name is Diana Moon Glampers. And I've marked in the book where she is. Again, you would think that I would be, where is it there? Blah, blah, blah. What does he say about her? There it is. He says, the client who was about to make Elliot's black telephone ring was a 68-year-old virgin who, by almost anybody's standards, was too dumb to live. Her name was Diana Moon Glampers. No one had ever loved her. There was no reason why anyone should. She was ugly, stupid, and boring. On the rare occasions where she had to introduce herself, she always said her full name and followed it with a mystifying equation that had thrust her life into it so pointlessly. My mother was a Moon, my father was a Glampers. Like anybody cares. So these are the type of people that Elliot is dealing with. Now the thing is, about Miss Glampers, or Miss Diana Moon Glampers, she really depends on Elliot. And he's really changing her life for the better. So what happens inevitably is, like always, Elliot he's a rolling stone, so he feels compelled to move on, and nobody wants him to leave Rosewater County because of the monetary assistance, the social assistance, just the overall assistance that Elliot is providing. Like he's dramatically increasing the quality of these people's lives just by being there and listening to them talk. And as he's leaving, all of the people that have called up the Rosewater Foundation, they're finding him there. He's catching the bus, and they're like, Elliot, it's me. And he, of course, has no idea who they are because he only knows their voices and their names. He doesn't know their faces. Everybody knows his face and his name and his voice because he's famous. And so as they're coming up saying, no, please don't leave. You changed my life. He's just kind of looking at them like, I don't know you, man. And then Diana catches up with him, and she begs him not to leave in one of the most, I think, just about the most tragic part of the book, when she's discussing how, like, she has no friends. She has no family. He is her sole social outlet. If he leaves and she doesn't have the foundation to call anymore, she'll die because she has no one. And of course, Elliot doesn't really know her. So he's like, oh, come on, you have to have family. You have to have friends. Because to him, she was just a phone call. But to her, he was everything. So inevitably what happens is Mushari finds out that he left Rosewater County. And then Norman Mushari goes in and pays all the residents of Rosewater County who now hate him to say that all of their babies are Elliot's babies, to further confuse what's going to happen to the money, hopefully confusing things enough to the point where Elliot, who now has to have a competency hearing, because once he finds out initially that Fred Rosewater is coming for the foundation's money, he has a breakdown and he's institutionalized for, I think, almost a year. So they have to have a competency hearing to see if he's stable enough to continue to manage the foundation's money. So Mushari sees this as his opportunity to sort of pull the rug out from underneath him, and he further confuses things again by getting all the women in Rosewater County to say that all their babies are his. And that's exactly how Elliot screws Mushari in the end. Is Elliot really does love people, and he did really care about the people in Rosewater County. So despite what his father wants him to do and his lawyer, McAllister, wants him to do, he decides to say that, yes, all of the babies in Rosewater County are his, so that all of the foundation's money will be equally distributed throughout all of the people who claimed this in Rosewater County, therefore completely screwing over his father's plan of staying wealthy, as well as giving back to humanity, which Elliot absolutely loved. Elliot loves people. And he got to screw over Mushari and his greedy cousin Fred, who he definitely doesn't like. And that's how the book ends. Elliot Rosewater completely screws over everybody by helping the poorest people that he's ever met by gifting them the $87 million that he'd been in control of this whole time. And I thought that was a really great way for this book to end, because despite how, funny this book was, it was really sad considering that he was always around, not just the poor, people who are living in abject poverty. So I thought it was really cool that in the end he sort of bookends things by screwing over the people that are attempting to screw over him, and he gets to help all of these incredibly poor people. And I thought that was a really clever way to end the book. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. There's an umbrella blowing around wildly over there that suddenly caught my attention, and now I'm thinking about the kid from American Beauty who thinks the most beautiful thing in the world is a grocery bag being blown through the streets. Under the Power of the Wind. God, I really liked American Beauty. That was a really good movie. But I think, yeah, that was it. So that is where I am going to leave it. So like always, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little over 10 minutes while I discussed, I think it's Kurt Vonnegut's 1965 novel, and that is God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. Like always, if you like this review or you like this book, don't forget to go and do something nice for somebody, like give some money to charity perhaps. But like always, most importantly, never forget that the world is actually a way better and way more fun place because you are in it. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night.